again, my name is Gabor and this is a new video about the new features in LVGL Editor version 0.3. It's still a purely technical video where we will talk about the new features and functionalities that makes your life easier if you want to develop embedded UIs faster and simpler. As usual, we start in the LVGL Editor GitHub repository where we have an updated README, we have the releases. You can still see version 0.2 here, but when this video will be published, we will have version 0.3 here as well. And of course, we have the issues where you can report any problems that you find. Before getting started, I need to tell that we have removed the dependency to Docker. Because the editor performs a few complex tasks in the background, you still need to install a few software, but it's way simpler than it was. So on Windows, you need to have WSL. If it's not installed, you just need to type this WSL install in a command line. On Linux, you just need to install Podman, and on Mac, it works out of the box. Once these are installed and ready, you can go to the releases page, download the latest version, and launch it. Similarly to the previous videos, I just opened the editor and opened the examples project in it from the LVGL Editor GitHub repository. Before doing anything here, you still need to do the usual thing, cleaning the project, code export, and compile. We will make it simpler in the final version, but for now, make sure that you click all these buttons first. Once it's done, let's open the settings screen. On the right hand side, in the preview, we have some updates. Now you can zoom into it by pressing Ctrl and scrolling with your mouse wheel or touchpad, or you can also open the view by a simple two-finger scroll. By selecting Fit to Screen or pressing Ctrl-Shift-0 or Command-Shift-0, it will automatically center it and set the zoom in a way that it fits to the current preview size. We have updated the XML syntax as well. It means that your previous projects will require some update. For example, right now, if you create a style, they need to be applied or added to a widget explicitly via a new style tag. I will show you how it works in the practice. I create a new style, let's name it red, and the background color is a pure red. I will add it to this row here. Style, I'm using my red style, and the selector is pressed. So now if I click here or press here, it's red. All the bind related properties are updated the same way, but I will show them a little bit later. Now let's talk about screen load and screen create events. Here is an example. We have this button. This is the About button. And I added a screen create event. The screen that we want to load is the About screen, and there is an animation type and animation duration, and you can specify a few more properties here. The About screen looks like this. It's just a normal screen with a view and a few components on it. Going back to the settings screen, if you click the About button, it will create a new About screen and load it according to the parameters that you described here. If you go back, the created screen will be deleted automatically. You can also create screen load events. The difference between screen create and screen load is that the created screens are automatically deleted when you leave them, but the loaded screens are created only once at the beginning, and if you leave them, they will be left there, so the state is maintained. The settings screen is a permanent screen, which means it will stay in the memory, it won't be deleted if you leave it, so it can be loaded. If I go to the About screen, here on the back button, I have a screen load event which just loads the settings screen. So anything that I change on the settings screen will stay there even if you leave it or go back again. Now let's talk about data bindings. In the previous videos, you might have already heard about subjects and how you can bind subjects data two widgets. As a reminder, you can create new subjects here in globals.xml. You can create integer, string, and now float subjects as well. You need to give them a name and an initial value. These subjects are basically global variables which store some data, and you can connect your widgets to these data, so when these subjects or variables are updated, the widgets will be updated accordingly as well. To make it easier to see and debug the subjects, we have added this subject panel next to the console panel. So here you can see all the subjects listed, and if you change some values here, I'm just using my arrows, these are changing on the UI as well. If I change it on the UI, I also see the values here. We have added some subject manipulation related events as well. For example, if you click this button, it changes the age subject that you can see here. And it's shown here and also here in the subject panel. Let's see how it works. So to manage this, I have created a component called step button. It receives a step argument, a subject which should be changed, the text, and the minimum value, because it can also stop on a given value. So let's see how this step button looks like. It has its own API, a subject, a step, a min and a max value, and the text. The view itself is quite simple. We have just some style, it doesn't really matter right now, and we have two subject increment events. So the subject increment event increments this subject, which was received from here as an API parameter, increments it with the given step. If it's a negative value, then it will decrement it. This is a trigger, so when this button is clicked, it will increment it. It will respect the minimum and the maximum values as well. The minimum and maximum values has some default values, so if you don't set, for example, the max value, it will be 2 million by default. I have added another subject increment event, which is the very same, except that it's triggered on long press repeat, meaning if you keep the button pressed, it will fire many times to keep incrementing fastly. And we also have the label where the text is the text parameter that comes from the API as well. So with the subject increment events, you can add subject manipulation purely in XML. We also have subject set events. In the same way, you need to specify a subject and the value to which you want to set the subject's value. I like to show you the new syntax of binding flags and states based on subject values, and also how to create light-dark theme switching. So to check out all these, let's create a new component. I will call it comp1. Also create comp1.xml. So it will be a component. Let's create a checkbox. And let's create a button with a label. Let's set the layout to place these below each other automatically, and set the width to some larger values. Cool. Now let's bind a subject to the checkbox state. It's very simple. Bind checked, and let's use the Bluetooth subject for this. So if I check it, Bluetooth on here changes accordingly. So far, if you wanted to change the state or the flag of the button, based on the Bluetooth on subject, you needed to write something like bind flag if equals and list some parameters here. It wasn't that easy to use and easy to follow, so we changed it to a more explicit syntax. You can create a new tag here and use separate properties for the parameters. So the subject that I want to use is Bluetooth on. Let's say the flag that I want to bind is the hidden, and the reference value is 1. So if the Bluetooth on subject is 1, the value is 1, let's add the hidden flag. Let's try. Okay, it's working. In the same way, you can create multiple of these. For example, if the notification on subject is 1, then let's make it clickable. So it should be clickable only if notification on is 1. So it's not clickable now because it's 0. But if I make it 1, then now it's clickable. So we will use something similar to bind styles as well. Let's create a new style first. Let's call it light. For the background color, use a light blue. Like this. Also set a text color. Use a darker blue for that. And just simply add this style to the button. So it was the light. And here we go. Now we have a light button. And now comes the interesting part. Let's create a dark style as well. Let's make the background color dark blue. Let's make the text color light blue. And let's see how it looks. So this is the dark button. Now instead of just simply adding it, we will bind it. I want to bind the dark style when a subject, let's say Bluetooth on, is 1. I remove these to not hide our button, and now if I click the checkbox and it's checked, it automatically adds or removes the dark style. We don't really need the checkbox anymore because we can test the same here. Okay, let's create a dedicated subject for that. Don't use the Bluetooth. Let's say dark on, it's 0 by default, so by default it's light. And let's use this here, dark on. And actually we don't need this extra rectangle here in the background. We can create a button directly. Like this, and let's keep the original white. We don't need the layout either anymore. Let's try it out. Cool, it's still working. Let's use it on our settings screen, just in this row. Let's add some components like this. So these are still working perfectly. And if I change the dark subject, they are changing. So now you can imagine that with a little bit of more work, you can create the same thing for all the components. Bind them to the same subject, and when the value of that subject changes, the styles are changing automatically as well. It can be used for other things, not only for light dark scene switching. You can create, for example, a warning state for the screen, or an error state, and any kind of style magic that you want. Here's an interesting use case, for example. When I adjust the hour here, or the minutes, here this one changes to blue, indicating what is being changed. It's also implemented by binding a style. Let's see how it works. So in this component, which is set clock, so what we are doing here is in the roller we set a subject's value to 1 when it's pressed. The subject that we are using is min edited, meaning minutes edited. So when it's pressed, it's 1. When it's released, it goes back to 0. And we do the same with the hours. When it's pressed, hour edited goes to 1 and 0 when it's released. And in the header, we bind the style called edited, and if hour edited is 1, then it will be applied. The edited style is very simple. It just changes the text color to some blue. You can easily try it if you manually set the hour edited subject. Another important feature are the tests. To discover them, go to the tests folder, and here we have a single test called test1.xml. As you can see, it looks very similar to the other XML files. It starts with a test tag, and after that we have a view. Right now it extends the settings so that we will test the settings screen right now. In the view tag we can describe any kind of component or widget trees to create very custom test setups as well. And after the view we have the steps. These are the test steps which will be executed when the test runs. First, we set some subject values to known states like the Bluetooth, Wi-Fi and notification related subjects, hours, mins and age. Once it's done, we can do a screenshot compare. We compare the currently rendered image with start.png. Start.png looks like this. After that we wait a little and click on a coordinate, wait a little again, and do another screenshot compare. We compare the UI with Bluetooth on.png. So let's see how it looks like. Now we have the Bluetooth checkbox on, so we have clicked the Bluetooth checkbox. And in the same way we test clicking on the Wi-Fi and the notification checkbox as well. We check this age setting part as well, and many others. If I go to the test tab, I can run these tests. It looks like this. It visually shows where the cursor is and what it does. So it's quite easy to follow. And now it tells us all the tests were passed. If I change only a simple thing, like change the minutes to 10 by default, all the screenshot compare tests should fail because right now the value here will be different. So if I run the test again, the screenshot compare already on the first screen failed. Let's wait until it finishes. If I click on the failed test, I can see the expected and the actual image. It might be a little hard to see small changes, so you can decide to show it in an overview mode. Now it's a little more visible. However, if you want to make it more obvious, you can choose the pixel diff view, which show you where the difference is. If you think that this is the correct image, you can easily replace the expected one with the actual. And if you run the test again, now the start.png screenshot compare passes, but the others still fail because of the same issue. I can replace this one as well if I want. Writing these click at test steps might be a little hard if you need to do it manually, but fortunately it's quite easy in the editor. If you press Ctrl or Command, you will see the current coordinate, and if you click somewhere, it will insert it for you. And after that I can just add some weight, and maybe another screenshot compare. So that is it. If you want to run it in a CI, our CLI tool can be also used to do not only XML validation and code export, but also run your tests. Let's continue with the translation support. You can just open translations.xml to see how it looks like. So right now we have only two languages, English and German. To add the new translation, you just need to add the translation XML tag, where you can describe the tag, which is the text that will be translated on the UI. So we have only these three translations right now: settings, the about, the back, and the info. So settings in English is settings, just with the capital, and this is it in German. About is about and über, and back is back or zurück, and the info text on the about screen was this UI was created with LVGL UI Editor, and in German this is something like this. So let's see how to use it. Go back to the settings screen. Find this about button, because this about button was translated. To make it easier to find, you can just click on it with the inspector and it will jump there immediately for you. So to use the translation, we need the text translated property instead of the simple text property. If you do it, then LVGL will find the translation of this tag based on what you have here in the translations.xml file. So here, as a value, you need to use the tags that you have used in the translation.xml file. And if you select the language here, then the UI will be translated. The about text and the settings text was changed as well. Here, this info text is also updated, and now it's in German. As one of the German letters was not supported in the default font, you see this placeholder. If we add more letters, then the German letters will be shown as well. And now we can go zurück instead of going back. Obviously, all these are working in the exported code as well, not only in XML. Let's take a deeper look. If you open the generated C file of the project, you see the translations exported here. So we have these languages, these tags, and these translations. On the settings screen's exported code, here we have a simple label set text, but instead of setting just a simple string, we use the return value of LVTR, which means LV translate this tag. So the translated text will be returned and it will be passed to the labels text. And finally, I'd like to show you the online preview. If you go back to the LVGL Editor GitHub repository, click this link, you will immediately see that now it looks like almost the same as the editor. We have the preview area, we have the console and the subjects panel, and the file navigator too. If I select the settings screen, I get the XML and a working preview too. Probably the most important update is that now you can edit this XML as well. So this way, all your changes will be visible, so it's very easy to make experiments, not for the developers, but for anyone who you share the project with. If you copy this URL, then just like earlier, it can be shared easily by anyone. And it works here too in an incognito window as well. So that's all for now. I will record a dedicated video about how the Figma plugin works if you want to synchronize style properties or if you want to synchronize images. And in the upcoming months, we will finalize the editor, meaning we will add one big missing feature, the animations, and we will also add user management, license management, minor fixes, minor updates, and a lot of marketing related stuff like new website, tutorials, documentation. So the required things to really make it a final product. We will keep you updated. Thank you very much for your attention. And as usual, if you have any questions or find any issues, feel free to open an issue in the LVGL Editor GitHub repository in the Issues tab here. Thank you again. Bye bye.